Okay, everyone, welcome back. We're going to do some more practice with translations, particularly using the paradigm sheet. Now, keep in mind, before we get into actual sentences, I'm just going to go over how the paradigm sheet works. We kind of glossed over that last week a little bit. Perhaps it's obvious, perhaps not. Some of you may find this review maybe a little bit overkill, unnecessary. Some of you might find it very helpful. Some of you might find it somewhere in between. So you'll have to decide where you fit in on that spectrum and use these accordingly. Okay. But for now, let's look at the paradigm sheet just for a moment. And I've taken, this is actually not your paradigm sheet, but I've taken these right off of your paradigm sheet and I've just blown them up a little bit so they're a little easier to see on the video. Okay, so this is the paradigm of the verb luo. The verb luo is a regular verb. It's a simple verb, and this is the present tense of it. Okay, so notice how we list the singular on the left, okay, and the plural on the right. That will be the way it is for every verb we look at whenever we do the conjugation of it. Okay, and then from there it will always be first person, second person, third person singular, then first, second, third person plural. Okay, so again, in the person difference, first person is just I speaking something, second person is you, third person is he, she, or it. Okay, and then singular or plural accordingly. So first person plural would be we. Second person plural in English is also you. We don't distinguish. The Greek does. And of course, third person plural would just be they. Okay, and then the infinitive will, in the present tense, will always have this "ein" ending here. Okay, so that's again the paradigm. Okay, so this is just sort of a representative verb of the class of regular verbs. This is why we learn these, because this verb embodies the pattern that we see for any verb. So, for instance, we look at another verb like blepo, the verb to see, and we'll see it will be blepo, blepes, blepe, blepomen, blepete, blepusin. Okay, so this is why we learn the paradigms. Okay, now, for nouns, there are several paradigms. Okay, first there's the first declension nouns. Okay, the first declension nouns are simply a particular kind of noun that exhibits this pattern. They are as follows, and there's three kinds of first declension nouns. This is a strict alpha stem here, the verb the noun hora, which means hour. Notice again singular and plural. Okay, singular is always on the right, the plural is always on the left. And in Greek, there are four different cases. Okay, the nominative, the genitive, the dative, and the accusative. Okay, don't worry about the vocative. Usually I don't list those here because the vocative for almost any verb is the same, or noun in the first declension is going to be the same as it will be for the nominative, so there's no point in listing it. Okay, so again, hora, horas, hora, horon. Okay, horai, horon, horais, horas. Okay, so again, you'll want to learn those very well because that's a very common pattern that's observed for an alpha stem. Okay, notice the alpha preserves throughout, except in the genitive plural. All right, in these cases we're going to learn as we go along. Nominative is usually a noun or a subject of the sentence, or something complementary to the subject. Okay, so it's the thing doing the action or something in some kind of a complementary relationship with that. A genitive is kind of a flexible construction. It usually is translated by the English of, usually a possessive or an objective genitive, and we'll look more at those as we go along. Okay, the dative is simply to, for, kind of an indirect object of some verb. Okay, and it's marked by usually the iota subscript underneath there. The accusative will normally be the direct object of the verb. Okay, so when something's on the receiving end of the action, it will normally be in the accusative. Okay, those are the four basic cases. Now, we'll talk much more about cases as the course goes on. Okay, they work a little bit differently than they do in English, although there's a lot of overlap. Okay, and if you've had Latin, this will be largely old hat. These cases work fairly similarly to the way they do in Latin. Okay, the second one I want to look at is the eta stem. This is the verb the noun phone, which means sound or voice. Phone, phones, phone, phonane, phoni, phonon, phonais, phonas. Okay. Again, notice the eta is preserved here, except in the genitive and nominative and dative plurals here. Okay, and the accusative. Okay, so learn that pattern as well. That comes up quite a bit too. Okay, and again, you see the singular and then the plural. All right. Finally, the other kind, the mixed stem. This is doxa, the word for glory. Doxa, doxes, doxe, doxon, doxai, doxon, doxais, doxas. Okay. So once again, you see the singular and the plural, and in your four cases. Okay. Now we will look more, and I'll scroll down here a little bit so you can see. Just as a preview, we'll go ahead and do these now since we're here, so I don't have to do this again next time. But these are your second declension nouns. These are actually far more common in Biblical Greek than the first declension nouns are. There are many, many more nouns that exhibit this pattern than there are exhibit these patterns. But nonetheless, because in Classical Greek they're a little bit rarer. They've been labeled by grammarians to be second declension, but frequently many Biblical Greek textbooks will have you learn them first because they're more common. But nonetheless, you see again, singular, plural. I didn't even write it here, but it's just assumed. Okay, singular, plural, and N, G, D, A, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. Okay, same thing for the neuter. Okay, so let's read through them here. Logos, logu, logo, logon, logoi, logon, logois, logos. Okay, that's the very common noun word. Okay, finally, the neuter, second declension, ergon, ergu, ergo, ergon, erga, ergon, ergois, erga. All right. Notice the accentuation doesn't carry over to the circumflex in the genitive plural. Okay, that's one little minor fact that I don't always remember myself, but nonetheless, you do see. Okay, so be aware of that. And again, these are all typical patterns of nouns that you will see. There's a lot of first declension nouns. There's even more second declension nouns. All right, so be aware of these patterns. Now, again, when we get into translating, you're going to have to know how these patterns work, because you need to know the syntax of how these particular nouns are used in the sentence. Okay, well, with that, let's go and take a look now at the sentences, practice sentences that I made. Okay, here's the first sentence I've made. These are fairly similar to the ones you're going to get in the actual practices. I didn't want to do your homework for you, but I thought it might be helpful if we just kind of went through, and I'll kind of hold your hand through them so you get an idea of how this all works. Okay, so again, this might seem overkill for some of you. For some of you, you might find it very helpful. Okay, I did this not knowing which category you would fall into, so be sure to make use of this accordingly. Okay, so let's first read the sentence here. It says, "Ekusin aletheon cardias kai akusin phones doxes." Okay, so first we note the first verb, ekusin. If we know our vocabulary well, and to start out with, as you always need to know your vocab, you realize it's the verb have. It's some form of that. Okay, aletheon is the noun for truth, cardias, heart, kai means and, akusin is another verb, it means hear, phones is sound, doxes glory. Okay, but notice all those words together don't make any sense at all. I need syntax, I need grammar. Okay, so I need to know how to actually translate these various forms here. Okay, so first of all, ekusin, we notice the usin ending. Okay, and if we look back again at our paradigms, scroll down here, this is a lot like luusin. Okay, luusin. Okay, so which is again here our third person plural ending. All right, so it's they have, okay. We don't know who they is yet. Maybe the subject will be expressed, maybe it won't. But until it's expressed, we just have to take it as they. Okay. Okay. So aletheon, aletheon. Aletheon means truth, but notice the ending here. See the on ending here, and that should remind us of something that we've seen. Okay, that's a first declension noun. All right. And when it has the on ending, well, let's remind ourselves here what that meant for us. Okay. And we look here, aletheon, aletheos, it's like hora, horos. Okay, in other words, it's an alpha stem. But we see the on here, see that there? Horon, that's accusative singular. Okay, so again, aletheon is going to be accusative singular. So therefore, we would expect it to be what? We would expect it to be the object of the noun, or the verb rather. Okay, so ekousin aletheon, they have truth. Okay, it's not truth has anything, it's they have truth. All right, and cardias, what about cardias? Well, again, cardias, if we remember from our vocab, is also a first declension noun. Okay, cardia, cardias, cardia. Let's take a look again at our paradigms. And we see here it's another alpha stem. Okay. In this case, the cardias. Okay, you might be tempted to think it's plural hearts, but it's not. That would be cardii. Okay, singular is cardia. Cardias is the genitive. Okay, so genitive typically has, is translated by the English of. Not always, but that's often how it's translated. Okay, so we figure here they have truth of heart. Okay, now in this case, it's not necessarily a possessive in the sense of heart owning the truth. It's more like they have the truth that goes with the heart. Okay, they have the truth that pertains to the heart. Okay, they have the heart truth. Okay, but this is very frequently in Greek. You'll see genitives used in other ways than strictly possession. Okay, so they have the truth of the heart, or truth of a heart. Okay, kai akousin. Okay, and akousin. Okay, that comes from akouo, which is to hear. But notice it's ousin, and if you remember ousin here, it's again a they. Okay, it's third person plural. So and they hear. What do they hear? Okay, phones doxes. Now, what about phones? What do we do with that? That's maybe not quite what we'd expect. But let's look at our paradigms again and see. Okay, phones happens to be our paradigm noun itself. This is a pure eta stem. Okay, so phones looks like a genitive singular, doesn't it? Okay, that's the only time I see that form here, right there. All right, so that's a little bit unusual perhaps, because we would have expected, okay, phones to be a in the accusative, because it's the object here. But frequently, the verb akouo, far more often than not, takes objects in the genitive. So in Greek, you can almost think of hearing from something or hearing of something. Okay, you just have to kind of get used to that. Very frequently, akousin, akouo will take objects in the genitive. So nonetheless, even though it's a genitive, okay, and I've misaccentuated it here. Let me fix that. That should be a circumflex there. Yes, there we are. Okay, so they hear truth, okay, or sorry, they hear the sound. Okay, notice it's genitive singular. Okay, doxes. Okay, doxes again is the mixed eta stem. What was that? Okay, that is simply what? Doxes, right here. All right, so you see here that doxes is going to be genitive singular. All right, you see it? So again, they hear the sound of glory. Okay, in this case here, again, there's an of there, but it's not a possessive. It's not the sound that belongs to glory. It's the sound that kind of pertains to glory. All right, so we call that an objective genitive. Okay, so again, to translate here, they have the truth of the heart, okay, and they hear the sound of glory, okay, or the voice of glory. All right, don't worry so much about what that means, but that's what the sentence says. Okay, so, all right, let's take a look at the second one here. Okay, let's read it first. It says, Gnoskomen hati eke adelphas zoen thalases. Okay, Gnoskomen hati eke adelphas zoen thalases. Okay, so, Gnoskomen, all right, that looks like the verb for know, all right, and indeed it is. Okay, and then the omen ending, we should remember by now, but let's go ahead and take a peek. And we see here omen. Okay, so luomen, that's a first person plural, so therefore it is a we type of a deal. Okay. All right, so we what? We know hati. Okay, now you notice hati can mean that or because, but I've told you that after a verb of knowledge or perception or any kind of a sense verb like hearing or seeing, almost always hati will mean that. Okay, so anytime you see it after a verb of knowing or seeing or perceiving, translate it that and not because. All right, so we know that eke adelphas zoen thalasein. Okay, so eke is what? Eke is that's a verb also. Okay, that is the verb for have, but what form is it? See the a ending there? And if you know your paradigms well, you remember that a is what? Third person singular. Okay, lue. So it's a third person singular, he, she, or it type deal. So we know that he has, okay, but who's the he here? Well, is there a subject expressed here or not? Is it that he has brother? Well, let's take a look here at adelphas here. Notice the ending, the os ending. Where do we see that? Where do we see that particular ending? Well, if we go back and take a look here, we notice that os, okay, that's a nominative singular. All right, that's a nominative singular. So again, that's a little bit tricky for us in English. We would expect that when the nominative singular, or that when a noun follows the subject, it usually is a direct object in English. In Greek, it makes no difference whatsoever. Okay, we know that this has to be the subject because it's a nominative. Okay, it's a nominative subject. Okay, it can't be the direct object. So we know that the brother has, or a brother has. Okay. Okay, what does he have? Okay, zoen thalases. Zoen thalases. Okay, what's zoen? Well, we look up that particular noun here. Doxa. Okay, it's like I'm sorry, it's like an a to stem here. So zoa, phone, phones, phonate, phonane. Okay, it's accusative. Okay, so now this is actually what he has. Okay, so zoen is life. Okay, so he has. Okay, so we know that brother has zoen, life. Okay, he has life. What kind of a life does he have? Okay, thalases, thalases. Thalases is what form? Again, let's take a look. That's a mixed stem. Okay, it's going to be like doxa, doxes. Okay, so thalasa, thalases, doxa, doxes, doxe, doxan. Okay, there's the ace ending there. Okay, it's a genitive singular. All right, so going back once more. And again, I don't want you to have to keep looking back and forth at this. This is one of the reasons we're going through these paradigms frequently. I'm having you recite these every single day if possible. Okay, it only takes a few minutes to get through them, but it makes it so you can get through your homework and translating very quickly. Okay, once you get the handle of these. Okay, so it's a genitive. All right, so we know that brother has zoen thalases, has life or a life, literally of the sea. Okay, now we would say he's a sailor. Okay, something like that. But this is frequently how you would see this expressed in Greek. Okay, in this case, again, the genitive isn't a possession. It's not the C that owns a life, but the of part explains what kind of a life it is. We call this, the fancy dancy term for this is epexegetical genitive. Don't worry about that. But just notice here the genitive can mean many more things than simply possession. Okay, so we know that brother has a life of the C. Okay? All right, and don't worry about the fact that there's no word for the there. We'll talk about that later. All right. Okay, let's take a look at our next one here. Let's first of all read it. Okay, cardia adelphou ou thele blepen doxen basileas. Okay, cardia adelphou ou thele blepen doxen basileas. All right, so first of all, cardia is heart, adelphou. Okay, we learned in the first section is brother. Okay, ou thele blepen doxen basileas. Okay. Thelo is the word for wish, blepo is sea, doxane glory, okay, basileas, kingdom. Alright, but again we need syntax. Okay, we need to know what function each of these verbs has, or these words has in the sentence. Okay, so cardia, what form? We'll again take a peek at our cheat sheet here. Okay, cardia is again a first declension noun, an alpha stem. Okay, so cardia, cardias, cardia, cardian. Okay, so hora, horas. So notice it's like hora. So therefore, the only one that ends just in an alpha is the nominative singular. Okay, so that's good. That's going to tell us that this is our subject. Okay, so we return to this. So it's heart, adelphou, adelphou, ooh. Notice that ooh ending there. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Alright, so we have logos, logu. Alright, genitive singular. Okay, so this tells us that that is a genitive. Alright, so it's a heart of brother, okay, or the heart of brother, ou thele, ou thele. Okay, so ou is what? Does not. Okay, thele, what form? That's a verb. That's like lue. Okay, when do we see lue? Let's take a look here. Third person singular. Okay, third person singular. So lue. So heart of brother. Okay, what? Does not wish. Okay, again, because this is a third person singular verb, we're looking for a singular subject. Okay, and we have one here expressed. So the heart of brother does not wish blepen. Blepen. Where do we see that ain ending? Do you remember that one? It's an infinitive. Okay, it's like luane. Okay, so very frequently it will follow a verb of desire. You want to do something or not to do something. Okay, so he does not wish what? Blepen to see. Doxane. What about the ain ending there? Where do we see that? Do you remember? It's like zoane here. Okay, or aletheon here. Okay, let's take a peek. And we see indeed it is a an accusative. Okay, it's an accusative. See, like phonane. See? Alright, so again, brother, the heart of brother, okay, the heart of the brother does not wish to see, doxane, glory, okay, the glory, basileas, basileas. Notice that as ending here, where do we see that? Again, it's not kingdoms, okay, the S here doesn't signify a plural, but what does it signify? Genitive singular. Okay, how do we know? Well, because it's like horos. Basileia is like hora. Okay, hora, horos. See genitive singular there. Okay, so again, we know now that this is a genitive. So the heart of brother does not wish to see the glory of the kingdom, or the glory of a kingdom. Okay, in this case here, it's probably not the kingdom's glory, but it's simply the glory that goes with the kingdom. Okay? Again, the same kind of a genitive we saw here, an explaining genitive. explains what kind of glory we're talking about. Okay, one more, then we're going to quit. Okay, let's take a look at this one. It's ekklesia ou ginoske phonein thalasein kai thele blepein gain. Okay, ekklesia ou ginoske phonein thalasein kai thele blepein gain. Okay, so first of all, ekklesia is the word for church or assembly. U is the word for no or not. Okay, sometimes you'll see an ook there. But usually that's when the next verb begins with a vowel, which this one doesn't. Okay, so ekklesia ou ginoske. Okay, ginosko is the verb for no. Phonein, the verb for sound or voice. Thalasein, the verb for see. It looks like I've screwed this up here. Let me fix that. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, kai thele blepein gain. Okay, and thele is a verb for wish. Blepein, the verb to see. Geis is the verb for land. Okay, so now, but we need syntax. Okay, so to make it a sentence, we need to know grammatically what each single word is doing in the sentence. Okay, so ekklesia is what? Notice the ending here. It ends in simply an A, and ekklesia is a first declension noun. Let's look once again at our paradigm sheet. It's a first declension noun. It's a lot like hora. Okay, notice when it simply ends in an A, like that, it's a nominative singular, which is good. That tells us right away that we have a subject. And again, when you're translating these, always look first and foremost for a subject and a verb. Okay, what's the verb? What's the subject? Okay, once you find a verb in the a noun in the nominative, that is your subject. Okay, so in this case here we have a church or an assembly. ou ginoske. Okay, now we're looking for a verb for it, and we see ginoske. Could that be the verb for it? Let's see. We want something to be third person singular. Okay, because the subject is singular. The subject and the verb have to agree. If the subject is singular, the verb also must be singular. Okay, is it? Well, ginoske, notice the A ending there. What's that like? Let's take a peek at our paradigm sheet. And again, you're not going to have to keep going back and forth. You're going to know these if you don't already. Okay, that's your third person singular. Aha, that's good. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so we go back. The church does not know, okay, what? What doesn't it know? Phonein thalases. Phonein. That ain ending there. Where have we seen that before? It's kind of like doxein here. Okay, do you remember doxein was an accusative? This also must be an accusative too. Okay, it's exactly the same type of noun. Okay, that's an accusative singular for an eta stem. Okay, so the church does not know what? The sound of the sea. Okay, how did I know it's of the sea? Well, because thalases is what? That's a mixed declension stem. Okay, it's like doxa. Doxase. Okay, see that ace ending there? As soon as I see that, I know we're thinking genitive singular. Okay, so in this case, it probably is a possessive here. It probably is the sea's sound of the sea, literally sea's voice. Okay, so the church does not know the sound of the sea. Okay, kai. Okay, we usually means and, but can also mean but. Okay, but or and. Thele. Thele is what form? Okay, so again, notice the a ending here. It's just like ginoske. Okay, so again, third person singular. Okay, third person singular, present, active, indicative. All right, so we'll talk about parsing later, but just focus on translating now. Okay, and thele wishes what? What does it wish? Blepein. Blepein. What was the ain ending again? Oh, what was that? Let's take a look. Yes, just like luain, it's your infinitive. So wishes to see what? Gain. Wishes to see land. Okay. How did I know that gain was the direct object of this and not the subject? It could have been the subject. Okay. The fact that it ends the sentence makes no difference at all on whether it's the subject or not. Okay. How did I know though it's not the subject but the direct object? I know because of the ending. Okay. Look at that in ending. See the new there. Okay. Gain is a lot like phone. Phones, okay? Gaze. If you look at your declension and you see the accusative here, phonane, and if I see gain, I know that's an accusative. Okay, it's not going to be the subject, but rather the direct object. Okay, so that's what tells me what function it is. Again, word order means absolutely nothing. Okay, your case endings are everything. All right, so again, pay no attention at all to where the word is in the sentence, but pay attention to its ending. That's what's going to tell you its function in the sentence, or its syntax. Okay, so again, learn your paradigms well. The better you know your paradigms, the quicker you can get through this, and the more fluently you can begin to translate these texts. Okay, so absorb those paradigms. It takes a little bit of time to get used to this, though. Okay, the language works a lot differently than English does. In English, we know the function of a word in a sentence usually by its position in the sentence, but in Greek, it's all about the endings. Okay, so all right, good enough. I'll let you to chew on that. Good luck on your homework, and I will see you next week.